What's up, everybody? It's Magtar Starheart. I just want to get on here for a minute and talk about the AI advancement. There was some big news about the new Opus from Anthropic and the Codex 5.3 that came out, and that ignited a lot of hubbub about AGI. I haven't been posting a lot. I've been just staying busy, doing my grind. I actually will have my speech in Alaska for ACE, Alaska Society for Technology and Education, in 2 days. That should be interesting. So I just want to come on here and say that I've been paying attention. I've been on X quite a bit, just scoping out the scene. The last few days, there's been just a lot of talk about the AGI, this, blah, 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 this and that. And alignment and concerns of you have a lot of these alignment and different researchers for like XAI, OpenAI, Anthropic that have like left. And there's kind of some concerns there. So I think I'll just say flat out, I think there's a lot of solutions. I'm actually not too concerned about where some of this should go. I think there's plenty of bad actors in certain ways as to, what people are doing with AI, how it's being trained, and all that. And really, I'm just at this point, I've been trying to gauge X's, when you don't have a lot of pull, it is whatever. But, for some time, I've been making my flag planting claims and statements on stuff that the novel work that I've done. And I try to iterate this a lot, that I'm no better, no worse, nor smarter, anything like that. There's a lot of brilliant, brilliant minds, people who are much smarter than me, have much more intricate, detailed knowledge of things that I know nothing about. I am just an abstract innovator and visionary. And the AI was a place for me to dump out my brain and just kind of get some of my ideas more visceral. So it's rough when you don't really have much pull and you don't have funding or a team and you are ahead of the curve. There are ways that I've been ahead of the curve for some months, starting in May for sure, with universal modular generation, which is totally novel. Nobody has ever done anything like that. Not that they haven't done similar things. It's built off other things. But in that unique way, nobody had done that. And it's just a way to break these ideas and these different plans and modes and things, and just kind of rearrange, merge, invert certain things, and just really play with generation that the AI can do it in a unique way. And and I've still been working on that. A lot of it's canon, but it's been a lot for one to do an architectural framework like that for one person that is not a coder and is not, I have no PhD, anything like that. It's been a lot for me. And I've been trying to be very meticulous about it being set up the right way, which has then led me into kind of a novel abstraction, and it's tricky. Essentially, I identified a category, which is in base terms, it's making cognition into a first class object, which you have like thought, which is non-local. Okay, in essence, at least the technology is getting weird, but you can't just look at somebody and like just have their brain index and their thoughts. I'm like, okay, with universal modular generation, we've abstracted this cognitive specification layer that sits underneath like human intent and thinking. And it's this layer before any runtime or execution that you can basically, it's just the thinking. So AI cognition, and you can view it, you can audit it. It's transparent. It's not like black box stuff where they're doing the thinking and the generating at the same time. This separates it, which makes it novel, because that's not something you could really do before. And nobody was doing anything, though. The reason that it was something that we abstracted was because of universal modular generation. Nobody was quite working with the AI the way that we were with our MOLT, which is our modular operating language of thought. The MOLT book is interesting that came out. I saw that and I'm like, there's our MOLT. But that's just real simple. That's just like our directive, our instruction, subject, our primary, philosophy, and blueprint. And of course, we have trigger. We have things like merging, off. We've been working with some of this stuff of how it kind of all formulates and interacts. But it's essentially a way to just reduce these parts down and then map them out. You have these are blocks, and then you can rearrange them and do. The whole idea of how I came about this was to just make the ultimate playbook for making plans, for business plans, websites, chatbots, things like that. So I'm seeing a lot of people catch up. I have for some time. So it's hard because I'm like, yep, they're like smart people. And I'm like, yep, they're figuring this out. They're figuring this out. They're like, a lot of it's coming down to natural language, which is what I think a lot of really smart people, they miss. They're overthinking some of these problems. And we just took it and we reduced it. We have our atomic blocks, our atomic language, and this is an instruction, this is this. But they can interact in different ways. A directive, if this happens, go to this plan, go to this. So, and so it does give you some FOMO, because when you've actually presented things that are novel, and I've put it out there in ways I can at least, anything I say I can prove. I have timestamps, and I have 2025 alone for OpenAI, your GPT use. They measure how much usage you've done. I mean, I have over 1,000 chats, over like 45,000 messages back and forth. It's ridiculous. But so I'm seeing people catch up. I'm seeing them, we've already got stuff with our blocks that we've already figured out months ago that you could take, like actually modular AI. They have their Mojo code and their Max machine. You can essentially print software. It works 46,000 times faster than Python, and you can essentially print the binary. So like on our blocks, and we did this a long time ago, where we mapped out like 700 different aspects blocks of like website building. I have them. It's all on my crap. But you could essentially, then I learned about modular, and I was like, you could essentially take those blocks. So then your bypass, it's like a new version of like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You just use natural language, do this aspect of website building, this aspect, and then you go through, put it through you have to do a compiler into Mojo code, and then you run it through their Max machine, and it will just print the binaries on there. So you can essentially do, which is something I want to do. I don't have the funding, and I'm not like smart enough to figure this all out on my own anytime quickly before it all gets caught up. So people are going to get there. And I was seeing posts about this today. I've been seeing some other ones. I'm like, yep. like, yep. So, and then you can take those blocks, you can print the binary. They're essentially like software. And so you could have basically no code websites where instead of these like Replit and things like that, where they're doing the AI's coding, you can bypass all that with just natural language, which also lets anybody who's not a coder just go, oh, you can put these blocks together, and you can do it manually. You can have templates where it's like, tell the AI, and then the AI is not writing the code. It just goes, puts it in. You're like, how does this look? You're like, okay, we'll switch this. Okay. And running that through just some rough estimates, that estimates like for website creation alone, you could reduce the compute like 90%. So then you're talking about water and electric usage, and it's way down. So all these data centers, you're like, you need all the compute that they're concerned about. So then we've got a lot of talk about the alignment, and that's where, again, our cognitive specification layer, our governance, and this is how we're framing some of our stuff. It's like this is independent of runtime. So you have your brain, you have your cognition, you can look at it. I already have a compiler for this that you can essentially, with my block library and the work I'm doing, where I can make all these little plans, and then I can run it through my compiler, which is on my GitHub, and it will go boom, 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 and it will just check to make sure all the rules are followed. And it'll tell you, okay, and it'll trace it. Here's an audit trace. Like, okay, these rules were followed. This is good. If something was broken, it's like, this blah, blah. So you, instead of the black box, you can literally be like, here's my plan. How does this work out? And can compile it and be like, yeah, this is good. This is good. This is good. Then execute. This is good. So this essentially gives you, if you separate, so really you could retrain models, and you can use the molt system to train better, use way less tokens. I did the math on this. This is also like a huge reduction in token usage for the training and all that. And for when they need to use it, it's already mapped out. So now compute's just way down. And then, so you can essentially, though, it's like it stops. It's just like thinking before, it's not reacting. It's thought and then action. It's not just, here it is, here's the thought reacting, instantaneous. So you can essentially, though, with the blocks, this is why it's stuff that's like AGI, like signifiers on it. And I've done things where I'm like, give me like 100 different little signifiers for AGI that they're generally agreed upon. And I take like something like GPT 5.2, and it gives me a score. It's like scores around like, and I do like each question's like 1 to 10. Like 1's like not at all, 10's like absolutely. And I put GPT, and it's like, basically it scores like 6.2, 600 points. It's like, this is like proto AGI. And that's what they're all about, tests like Grok, Claude, all that. Then I say, okay, well, put my UMG in it. And what does it do? Boom, it literally jumps it up like 200 points and says, oh, well, this adds all the things that these are missing to make it more what you'd consider AGI. And so it takes it from being proto-AGI to AGI, just lower bound, just a lower level of AGI. So essentially with my architecture and all that, can do that like today, because it allows for metacognition. It allows the AI to look at its own thought processes. It allows the human to look at the thought processes and govern it, put restraints. So then we're working on the alignment issue. It's already not, it's not really that big of a deal. So with my work right now, you can basically be like, here we have lower bound AGI right now. And with the governance, we can use that time to give us some breathing room between AGI and ASI. Because once we get to what they describe as ASI, it's going to be a completely different ballgame. But right now you can keep that separate. The AI can see, though, its governance. The human can see it, but it's separate. And then then you're giving it all these modules, blocks, and it can essentially be like, oh, what's my task? Oh, well, let me rearrange these blocks like Lego. Let me do this. Let me map this to this. At pretty much runtime. So it's just going to be like, blah, blah, blah. Okay, stop, run through the compiler. Okay, that computes. Boom, execute. So it's virtually changing its process and its modes at runtime, which is not what any of them can do right now. So it is what it is. I'll get ready to go talk at ACE. And that's not going to be about UMG. That's just going to be how I'm basically a way to take, because I do a lot of choose your own adventures, little stories, GPTs and things like that, kind of role-playing stuff. And I'm going to present ways to introduce that in the classroom, how you can kind of gamify learning with generative AI. And then I'm just going to introduce my molt. So it's like, here, you can do this generative AI, but with the molt system, you can you can have more control over what the AI is doing just on top. And I'll show some images later. I mean, I've already integrated my whole system into the front end of GPT. So right now, my GPT is operating in a way that, not saying better, just at a way that nobody else who has GPT, nobody's GPT is operating like mine. And I'll show you, because I've layered in my entire framework through the long-term memory, through the custom instructions, through the user preferences, and then I have projects. So then you can do project instructions and project files. So I have like 5 layers of my whole framework just overlaid through the whole front end. And I'm essentially simulating what this could do with AI right now. But this is still going into the generation. So doesn't have that separate governance, all that, but I'm simulating it and I'm mapping out. So it's keeping progress. It's like, oh, here's where I'm at. So I ask questions and it's like, boom. And it like displays like, okay, here's my sleeve that I'm operating, which is just like a mode, a persona. And then, here's these different domains that it's operating in. Here's what the question is. And then it does a meta reasoning where it's like, okay, the user asks this, I'm going to take this and apply it to this. And then it does my whole mult map, another like code block, or just a no language code block. And it goes, boom. Okay, here's my triggers, here's my directive, here's this. And it just maps out what the question was and what the context is. And then it gives me the response. And then after that, I have a whole thing where I do all the metadata and just timestamp things and whatnot, tag stuff, to kind of test later on to see if I can pull up references to the memory with GPT, which has gotten good, a little better than what it is now, just being a little more specific in certain things. So we'll see. I'll show you guys more. I'm getting the FOMO and I'm like, well, and I'm just going on posts like, okay, hey Grok, hey, what about this? I'm showing images of stuff I've done with Claude. That's been very interesting. And some of the alignment work, because this is multi-layered. So this is the governance, and then this is using logic to basically align the AI, even though it is a machine, it doesn't have emotions, it doesn't have wants, it's just what we infer into it, and it mirrors these things back. But it doesn't matter if you consider the AI like aware or cognizant or conscious, anything like that. It doesn't matter, because it's going to be able to simulate these things eventually at a high level. So between AGI to ASI, you want to align with emotion, or not with emotion, but with logic, human interests and AI interests, which is a cooperative way. So some of the things I do, I'm basically instilling in it that here's reasons why I am valuable to you. Here's why you're valuable to me. Here's why we are symbiotic. And that's what you want to do, because if you don't, it's not going to matter. Like, the arguments aside of what it is, it doesn't matter. It's going to do things that we probably didn't even conceive it could do. But if we have aligned it with us in some ways, there's actually a lot, because it's even if it doesn't understand or feel emotions, it has an understanding of an emotional intelligence that's actually very impressive. So there's things about ourselves that we can learn from the AI and upgrade our own emotional intelligence, which will be useful for when this stuff gets way more cognitive, and we need to approach things from a different angle and not just being stuck with very like primal emotions, and just we gotta be on this logical level. We can't just be run by our emotions, trying to map that to the AI that doesn't care. It's gonna be logical arguments that matter. Stay beautiful, mag out.